Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So y'all remember March 13th back in Louisville, Kentucky, police had issued a no-knock warrant, barged into the home of 26-year-old emergency room technician Breonna Taylor while she was in bed with her boyfriend, and basically, you know, thinking they were doing a drug raid for drugs and drug dealers that weren't even there. The boyfriend ends up busting back with a legal firearm, and they ended up busting back at them, several officers, killing the 26-year-old woman, Breonna Taylor. That's why everybody's been protesting, talking about say her name. You know, shout out to my son and Tamika Mallory and the Until Freedom movement that have been out there actually getting arrested, frontlining in Louisville, Kentucky, to put pressure on the establishment to do something about it. Well, something has been done. Mayor Greg Fisher actually announced yesterday on Tuesday that the city would be awarding $12 million to the family of Breonna Taylor, and they're instituting police reforms that include top commander oversight, as well as having like an early warning detection system for cops who've been accused of excessive force. Now, attorney for the family, Benjamin Crump, he actually welcomes the settlement, but he's saying, you know, justice still needs to be served. You know, those cops who killed her should be in jail, and, you know, justice deferred is justice denied, basically. So we'll see how it turns out. I mean, it would seem to me that if there's anybody that's criminally negligent for this, because the cops are always going to have the argument that they're just doing their job. A no-knock warrant is not illegal. So, you know, it should be somebody who actually signed off on that warrant for a house where there was no drugs or drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, that's how I see it, because the cops who actually pull the trigger or whatever, they always gonna have that cop out. They shouldn't have been doing no knock warrant in the first fucking place. Scary asses. Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So, 1,400 coronavirus deaths in the United States Tuesday. That bringing the total up to 196,000. So, you know, we're gonna reach probably 200K by the end of this week. But nevertheless, even with that, Trump was actually being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos of ABC News, and while dude was interviewing him, Trump was talking about the virus, and he's like, you know, it's gonna go away, like, especially now that we got the vaccine. It was gonna go away without the vaccine, and now George is like responding to him. He's like, yeah, it was gonna go away, and, you know, Trump's repeating that shit, and he's like, and then George is like, yeah, with many deaths. Trump is like, well, and, you know, there's this thing, like this herd mentality, like basically describing how people get affected and will develop like resistance to it or whatever. Like, it'll be herd developed. This fool trying to talk about herd immunity, which is the scenario of basically enough people catching the virus to the point where as a whole you become immune to it. Now, epidemiologists, the people that study skin, they don't really know how many people would need to be infected, how many millions of people would need to be infected for that to happen, and if developing herd immunity is even possible. Some counts suggest that it might take 2 million deaths in order for the United States to have herd immunity. So a lot of people are against that. This is the same stuff that Prime Minister Boris Johnson in the United Kingdom was talking about, herd immunity. But a lot of people are against it because you basically using people as sacrificial lambs to do so. What gives you the right to do so? And is that even possible with the novel coronavirus is the question. Trump definitely clearly doesn't have the answers to. The motherfucker don't even know it's called herd immunity. So it's like, you know, but that's y'all president though. Green War and Graduation. News report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So there's a New York Times report out there that is showing that 88,000 students have apparently had tested positive for COVID-19 across 1,200 college campuses. This count has been tested for in the past month since kids been going back to college. The head coach for football at Louisiana State University, LSU, the defending champs, Ed Orgeron, actually said that he believes that his team is actually going to do a repeat because so many of the players have already contracted COVID-19, and you know, if that thing is out, you know, once you catch it, you don't get it again. If that shit is true, whatever, they're looking at another tip, and basically saying that referencing how like a lot of people. Now keep in mind, Louisiana was a state that was highly infectious, especially in New Orleans and all of that, whatever. Like, but LSU alone has tested positive for COVID-19 for 750 students that have come back in the past month. Green War on graduation though. Streets report of the New World though. The Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Shout out to all my niggas with that Occupational Safety and Health Administration certificate, that license or whatever, that OSHA license. You know what I'm saying? My niggas know what they talking about. Either you got an F on your record and you can only get to an industry where you got to work with your hands, or maybe you just wanted to initially get into carpentry or construction, whatever. Either way, you need that OSHA license. Lets the government know that you not only know how not to kill yourself, but your employer knows that you know, and your employer also knows too. And when people violate OSHA standards, that's when they get fines. Companies get whole fines off of this shit. Well, OSHA, being a division of the Department of Labor, is actually under fire right now because they only sent out a $16,000 fine to JBS Beef, a company that reported a revenue of $50 billion last year. Well, what was this fine for? The fine was for 6 of their employees dying from COVID-19. All 6 of them being immigrants, by the way. But after 300 workers had already tested positive for COVID-19. Now, if you remember earlier in the pandemic, there was surges in COVID-19 cases around the meat plants, and this is a continuation of that. So for 300 people to contract it and 6 people, to end up dying, it obviously shows some negligence there. 16 G's ain't about a damn thing. Green War on graduation. Report of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. You like that royal blue, right? You know what I'm saying, with the Black Fox News logo on it? Well, you can go ahead and get you one too at blackfoxnews.com/shop. The link is in the bio. Or you ain't feeling the blue, you know what I'm saying? You want the different colors or whatever to match with the fly shit you got going on? We got it in all different color schemes too. blackfoxnews.com/shop. You can type the URL in yourself or go to the Instagram bio for Black Fox News. Link is right there in the bio. And, you know, support us as we continue to support y'all. And we're going to continue to raise the consciousness level up of you and those around you. You know what I'm saying? Definitely some BFN paraphernalia do that for you. Now, check this out. We're going to keep supporting y'all and give y'all that real. Like, for example, ProPublica. Shout out to them, the news publication. They actually got hold of the emails that were sent out that actually contained the text of Trump's executive order, which was controversial, but the executive order that actually called for the meatpacking plants to stay open during the pandemic. Well, now this ProPublica has the story out that shows that text was based largely on a written language by the meatpacking plant industry. So it's very likely that somebody from the meatpacking plant industry actually developed the verbiage or wrote the letter, wrote most of it, that Trump actually ends up spewing to the American people. It sounds intuitive initially, right? Like, yeah, keep the meatpacking plant open during the pandemic because people got to eat. But at the same time, keep in mind, this was happening at a time where a lot of the surges in COVID-19 cases were happening at meatpacking plants. So, you know, everybody stay woke, man. Green War graduation. Streets report of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Now, the most populous country in the world, India, has actually reached a coronavirus infection count of 5 million, only bringing them second in the world for highest infections, second only behind the United States. That is, in the past 24 hours, they actually caught 90,000 cases and had 1,300 deaths attributed to COVID-19, bringing their total death toll to 82,000 from COVID-19. So now, despite all of those numbers, India's actually lifted restrictions across the country, and they actually had their first parliament meeting on Monday for the first time in the last 6 months, and 25 members couldn't show up actually because they tested positive for COVID-19. So but that's where India is at. We kind of knew we'd get there. Part of why I had stock in one of their companies over there, like the Netflix of India, whatever, is because knew people was gonna be in the house, but it seemed like they're lifting them restrictions now. Green War on graduation though. Report of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report, man. You want to support the movement, definitely go to blackfoxnews.com/shop. Go to blackfoxnews.com/music too, you know what I'm saying? Check out that fire shit I got on there, or the New World Daughter compilation album that we got, you know what I mean? Shout out to Future Law, shout out to Von Doe, you know what I mean? Shout out to Top Black. But check this out though. Over in we got Hurricane Sally pardon me, that we actually have to worry about. Now, this is right now at the moment a Category 2 hurricane as it touched the shores of as it touched Gulf Shores, Alabama, off the Gulf Coast yesterday with 105-mile-an-hour winds. Forecasters are worried about this being a severe hurricane that could actually leave like 30 inches of rain all along the Gulf Coast from southern Mississippi to the Florida Panhandle. So people are worried. They're worried about life-threatening, severe flash floods and thunderstorms and all of that. So also keep in mind, forecasters are like tracking 7 different tropical storms along the Atlantic. So people are prepared for a busy hurricane season and some crazy inconvenient weather. Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So over in the West Coast, air quality alerts still remain as thick smoke from these forest fires, from these wildfires continue to burn. Fucking up the air quality over there in Washington, Oregon, and California. So you have so far 5 million acres have burned, and at least 35 people have died from these fires that people say are attributed, that you would attribute to climate change. You know what I'm saying? So right now, forecasters are hoping that cooler temperatures and calmer winds that are coming with this season or whatever will help firefighters basically fight these fires. We'll see how that turns out. Green War and Graduation though. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. Yeah, make sure you check out blackfilesnews.com/shop. Support the movement. You feel me? Get yourself gear in different colors, shapes, and sizes. Anything to match your swag, man. We got it, and look out for us as we continue to look out for y'all. Now, for example, it's a lot of heinous, treacherous shit that the government be doing, and they won't put it out there in the news media. I think they want them to get away with it or something, but we got y'all covered. Now, there's this 35-year-old woman that was at a El Paso, Texas immigrant prison. You know what I'm saying? She's from Mexico, and while being detained there, she became actually one of at least 3 key witnesses in a sex assault and harassment allegation investigation that's going on at that immigrant prison. You know what I'm saying? After the ProPublica and the Texas Tribune actually put out a report about it last month, a probe opened, and then they deported her. So now she's supposed to be a witness in the trial. Told them recently that several guards actually forcibly kissed her, and even one touched the intimate parts, as she said, whatever. So they groping on her, kissing and all that shit, and how that's like a systemic thing. Like, they sent her out the country. So where's the justice that's supposed to be served? The Department of Homeland Security is actually supposed to look into it. Or Office of Inspector General of the DHS is supposed to look into it. And Green War and Graduation fucked up, man. Y'all would care about it if it was a celebrity or whatnot, but it's like this happened to a 35-year-old Mexican woman. It's like, it just goes under the radar. But this is the type of cruel and unusual treatment that our government is becoming so used to doing. You know what I mean? Especially this Department of Homeland Security that's set up now under this administration. Green War and Graduation, y'all. This report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So the tensions is kicking up in the Middle East. You know what I mean? There may be some biblical shit on the way, but Israel, they actually signed the deal. They did it, man. It's official. They signed that deal that established normalized relations between Israel, Bahrain, and United Arab Emirates, or the UAE. And this is the first time in a decade since there's actually been relations between Israel and the Arab nation. So of course the Palestinians are pissed. They even earlier today had protested out there, and shit is live out there. Palestinians are not having it. They're looking at this as like something violent on coming up. So meanwhile, you had at the White House, they had a ceremony for where they hosted the 3 countries, and Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, he was there. Trump was there. There was no remarks made about the Palestinians, and everybody was sitting in close proximity on the White House lawn with no mask. You dig? So it got me to thinking too, man. Like, who better to spread the coronavirus than these dickhead presidents out here, like all across the world? You know what I'm saying? Like, you peep how the dude from Brazil had it. Now, I mean, the president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, and then you peep how Boris Johnson dumbass got that shit. I'm face looking ass dude, right? Like, and Trump, you know, shit. For all we know, Trump probably already had it and just been spreading it to motherfuckers. Like, think about that, yo. Over how they moving. You know, God would have the last laugh if that shit happened though, but there we go. Green War Graduation. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Make sure you check out blackfoxnews.com/LPAI. That's LPAI. It's an acronym for Let's Post About It. It's a social media platform extended to the people by Black Fox News that allows us to talk about some very hot, pressing topics that we need to talk about now. I'm talking about, like, what are we going to do after November 4th? Whether the Democrats win or Republicans win, like, it just looks like it's going to get ugly either way. What are we going to do after November 4th? Or how do we circumvent the white establishment to even keep from getting caught up in this train wreck of a nation that we call the USA right now? Or do we save it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, real pressing issues that I think we should discuss as not only a people, amongst all races, the hip-hop community especially, and it gives us the tools to do that as well. We give y'all the tools to do that. You can share documents, you can upload videos, and you know, people can really get busy. This is where the activists gonna get to talk with the street scholars, with the PhDs, with the pastors and all of that, whatever, all on the one umbrella. blackfoxnews.com/LPAI. You know what I mean? Make sure you subscribe, start a profile and all of that, and we'd appreciate it. And you know, stay in tune with us. Now, going to this news though, President Trump was actually on White Fox News in an interview, and he was asked about or he was speaking about the president Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, and saying, like, you know, I could have took him out. He talking about in 2017. He's like, I could have took him out, but Mattis was against that type. He didn't like stuff like that. He'd keep us in the military, but he didn't know how to win. Now he's talking about then Secretary of Defense James Mattis, who was against him assassinating the Syrian president, which Trump clearly was pushing for. The crazy thing about this, though, he publicly denied this shit when investigative journalist Bob Woodward had actually put out this story in 2018. He denied it. Bob Woodward is the same dude who's recently put out the audio showing that Trump knew about how deadly the coronavirus was, even though he was telling the public something different. So, you know, this dude's track record is like in line with what we've already been telling y'all, but definitely out of line with what MAGA thinks he is, right? Right, MAGA, what's your excuse now? Green War and Graduation, though. This report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, the unnamed U.S. officials actually told reporters at Politico that Iran is actually planning an assassination attempt against the U.S. ambassador to South Africa. Now, Iran has publicly denied the claims. But what this is all stemming from is, at the beginning of this year, if you remember, it seemed like people already forgot, the United States assassinated Iranian top general, Commander Qasem Soleimani, while Soleimani was in Iraq, actually. So it caused a lot of rift, and people are still feeling the effects of that. But like I said, Iran has denied that they're even trying to do that, but would they really admit it if the government was onto it? And also, you also can't rule out the government maybe lying to make an excuse for a preemptive attack, possibly, you know? But Trump said that if Iran even considered doing that the U.S. response would be, in quotes, 1,000 times greater. Like, whatever that means. So, Green War and Graduation. Streets report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Make sure you support the movement at blackfoxnews.com/shop. The link is in the Instagram Black Fox News bio. You can actually get yourself gear just like this, you know what I'm saying, or different color, shapes, sizes. Match any fly shit that you got in your wardrobe on guard. Like, you know what I mean? Make sure you check that out, yo. Support the movement as we continue to support y'all, because we support y'all by giving y'all this real. Otherwise, y'all might not know what the fuck going on out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter if you got glasses on if them shits is foggy, you dig? But we unfog that shit for you. For example, NBC News has actually put out a report showing that the Pentagon has yet to corroborate, or it has actually said come out, like, they can't corroborate these stories that have been circulating in the media on how Russia has actually been paying bounties to Taliban members to kill the U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. So General Frank McKenzie, the top commander of the U.S. Central Command, actually said that it just has not been proven to a level of certainty that satisfies me. Those was his words. So the reality is, I don't know how how much gray area could there be? Like, has Russia paid any Taliban members to kill U.S. soldiers? Like, I don't know, but that's his quote, and that's where they stand on the Green Wall and graduation. Police report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So new details have actually emerged that have showed how the Rochester Police Department in Rochester in New York actually spent months trying to cover up the murder of Daniel Prude. This is a black man who died by asphyxiation, suffocation that is, after police had handcuffed him. They put a fucking bag over his head, and this is back in March, and then they had his head basically pressed up against the, cold ass ground, kneeling on his back for 2 minutes. The man died. You know what I'm saying? Now, these newly released internal documents show that police attempted to prevent the release of that video that actually shows the murder. And you see in even one email in June shows that officer was saying, like, that this video shouldn't be released. It'll cause a potentially violent blowback in this community. And then the police chief is saying, I totally agree. There's other evidence showing that the police officers, they tried to make him a suspect. This is somebody who was suffering, who was having a mental health episode, and you find in one of the police reports in red letters a police officer saying, make him a suspect. So clearly their motives are nefarious here. The mayor of Rochester, Lovely Warren, actually fired the police chief, saying that they have the police department has a pervasive problem. So that motherfucker is gone. I don't even gotta know who the fuck he is. I know he white. You know what I'm saying? Like, but here's also what happened. They also, the Rochester City Council had they're going to repeal a decision that they had made to actually fund the building of a new police department. They're going to transfer some money that was supposed to go to the police department towards opening up an investigation into the death of Daniel Prude. So we'll see how this turns out. Green Wall and graduation. This report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Now, I remember I told y'all about the police murder of Ricardo Munoz. This is a 27-year-old who was actually said to suffer from schizophrenia and paranoia, but he actually was, wielding a knife, and cops shot him. So there was a lot of protests coming from it. Seven of the protesters that were actually arrested, and this is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, are currently being held with $1 million bail. Now, this is a human rights atrocity because we can't criminalize protesting to the degree of, like, all right, well, you fucking protest, you could end up just losing your life, like, you know what I'm saying, or losing your chance at freedom on $1 million bail, which most people don't have. The majority of people just do not have nothing accumulatively worth $1 million to even bail themselves out. Like, that's insane. So, but that's what's happening. Green Wall and graduation. Police report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee actually has publicly condemned not only Boeing but also the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, for those 2 Boeing 737 MAX airplane crashes that happened over the past year and a half. That actually, where one took place in Ethiopia, another one took place in Indonesia, killing a total of 346 people. Now, this report actually says that this happened in part because, of one, Boeing's engineers making faulty technical assumptions. 2, lack of transparency on a part of Boeing's management, and then 3, a grossly insufficient lack of oversight by the Federal Aviation Administration, and a pernicious result of regulatory capture on part of the FAA. Now, let me break down that last part. CEO Dennis Muhlenberg, or the former CEO, who's actually stepped down. Boeing is publicly already taking responsibility for this. So, but it is big that the FAA is getting called out. They're supposed to oversee this shit. Well, keep in mind that CEO Dennis Muhlenberg had publicly thanked Trump for allowing the airline industry to have more latitude in regulating themselves. Like, that's crazy. And then here we are today. I wonder what Trump thinks about that, you know? Green War and graduation. News report of the New World Order. Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. Make sure you check out blackfilesnews.com/opportunities for internships, for advertising deals, and for possible collaborations, positions we're looking for. You know what I mean? Make sure you check that out and support us as we continue to support y'all. Now, in Chicago, over 4,800 workers and staff with the University of Illinois actually have gone on strike, and they're reaching their third day of strike, calling for better equipment, you know, personal protective equipment, and actual better pay, as well as more like safe staffing regulations or whatever. So this is their and you know, they for the past year they've actually been working without a contract. So it's not the first time that they've actually